Welcome back, Money Talkers. I have a very special guest for you today. This man is very, very accomplished and done very diverse things. I have Martyn Cook here. He's the founder and co-founder of NooBru.com, CartelsMastermind.com, and Smarter Destiny. Martyn is a serial entrepreneur, founding, scaling, and exiting multi-million pound businesses. I gotta get that right because he's from England also. So Martyn loves putting value out there, especially with his new book, 1% Secret. You can find that at 1%secret.com with the number 1. Also his podcast, which I was recently on a guest on, which is Smarter Destiny, which is smarterdestiny.com podcast, or on his YouTube channel, smarterdestiny.com/YouTube, where you find some great advice and guidance on scaling your business. He's also co-founded an invite-only private mastermind group for higher-level heavy hitters. We host exotic mastermind events with world-class attendees and speakers. And his latest business, NooBru, NooBru.com, aims to disrupt the nootropics space while fighting the 2 billion person malnutrition problem at the same time. He's going to document the whole thing, so subscribe, like, or follow him across all of his socials. Martyn, say hello.
Hey, Cody, thanks so much for that introduction. I would have made it less wordy, I think, if in the future. So, we've learned something already, folks. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
I think the only way you're going to make that less wordy is for you to stop doing so much amazing stuff.
Yeah, everyone's we're at the beginning of the year now. Everybody's been posting those then and now pictures of 2010 versus 2020. Maybe in 2030 it'll just be like, did nothing, just vacation for the last 10 years.
Yeah, I really haven't accomplished anything except you've mastered the library of Netflix, right? Like, let's put that down, like my goal.
The only person to watch all of Netflix, like everything.
Man, so I gotta ask you, like, how do you? This is a crazy resume. So, like, how do you stay motivated to just get into different avenues? Like, are you looking? Is it an income thing? Is it a mindset thing? Is it you gotta keep yourself interested from ADD thing? Like, what really drives you to get into all these different avenues?
Do you know what? I think like in the early days, it was a money thing, making money, making money whilst you sleep by leveraging things like the internet. But more recently, it's been the bigger purpose. And so I've taken a lot of time, and I mean, like, meditating daily and journaling and so on for a number of years, gradually getting clearer and clearer on what it is that I want to do. What it is that I enjoy doing, what businesses I'll say yes to, what businesses I'll say no to, how those businesses can interlink to make one kind of massive machine. And so it's a lot more about that vision and purpose nowadays than the making money side of things. If you help people and give value out there, you make money.
I had a saying that I have here on my desk, and it says, "Create passive impact, not focus on passive impact, not passive income." Nice. And it's one of the things I've always taught people when I've worked with them. I said, if you outwork a pay plan, it catches up. But as an entrepreneur, it's almost a little bit like you can almost switch that to provide more and more value, and your value goes up.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely, and try not to fight the urge to take the shortcuts and chase the quick money and all of those sort of things. And it's what do they say? They did an experiment, didn't they, with entrepreneurs where it was with children, but they said, hey, if you can have a marshmallow now, and they put it in front of them, or you can have two, in 10 minutes from now if you don't eat the first one. And that was a good test to that delayed gratification, the ability to do that. It's a good sort of litmus test for an entrepreneur.
Yeah, they followed those kids, like the first experiment kids, and they followed them, and the ones that were able to have impulse control, like, had massively outperformed the kids that were like taking the marshmallow immediately. Like they'd like track their lives like through college and careers and stuff. It was crazy.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all.
And I think
that's the mantra.
They were doing it with kids, and they were trying to say, well, can you learn this? And what they proved were some of the kids that had learned it had changed their path, and that's kind of what this podcast is about, is helping people just make little changes and, teach their children little things, mindset, entrepreneurship, personal finance, and it has massive impacts over their time because they've got so much time ahead of them. And so how did you, so you focused in and wanting, I mean, you've got this kind of all ties together. And so, did you start with the end in mind? Like, who's your avatar to go help?
Sure. So, and that took a little bit of drilling down into as well. Obviously, I have a number of businesses. I've had businesses over a number of years, but specifically talking about Smarter Destiny, which is my publishing outlet, if you like. That all started with just having a lot of knowledge and experience, success and failures in my head, and a real urge to help people. I'm that guy that I'll walk down the street and I'll hear complete strangers talking about something, and one of them will ask the question to the other one, and they'll say, I don't know. And I'm the guy that can't help but go, sorry, here's the answer, right? Or I can help, right? If I can help someone, I've just got this urge to do it. And it's not like it's not like my purpose. It's just an urge to the inability to filter, I guess. And so I was like, well, I've got all this information in my head. I know I can help other people. And you can do it in quite an efficient way, using the internet. You can record one video, one podcast, and then millions of people can listen or see that, right? So I just started putting that information out there and began to get a bit of a following. And then, that sort of spiraled. But I did realize that I have less patience for teaching the brand new stuff, like the how to get started on. I have less patience for that. And so I began to sort of settle into the niche of businesses, particularly digital businesses, that are already having some success and have some data to analyze, and helping them grow that massively. And you said about it's about small incremental changes. Well, my book 1% Secret is literally that. It's about making these 1% improvements to 52 different areas of your business. And the first chapter talks about how when you make 1% incremental gains, the in the maths, it isn't 1 + 1 = 2. It's more like 1 + 1 = 4. And then if you add 3 incremental changes, it's more like 16. And actually in the website talking about the book and showing how you can get one for free, which you linked to earlier on, it actually does all the maths for you and shows like a sales page scenario where you actually get a 300% gain by improving 3 areas by just 1%. And that's a great takeaway for life. It's rarely big changes that make the difference. Everyone's like, what's that one thing that I can do to shed 20 kilograms of weight? What's that one thing I can do to become a millionaire overnight? And it's not that. It's these small incremental change and a discipline to do them every day. And damn, is that not sexy? But that's kind of the answer, right? So yeah.
No, I love that, man. That's that's just a fantastic message to be able to say, just because they're attainable that way, right? And so
Sure.
we sell these big programs, and we sell, like you said, like the lose XYZ pounds and lose, make this much dollars, and we sell these big, massive, splashy, programs, and people buy them, and nothing happens because they just don't implement this gigantic, laundry list of stuff that they think they could do, or they think there's a magic pill. And it's really more about finding little areas of improvement and then continually doing that.
Sure. And yeah, it could be as simple as I don't know, if you've identified that you have one unhealthy snack every single day, but you want to lose weight, it could be as simple as just cutting off a third of that snack or a quarter of that snack, throwing that away, giving it to the dog, giving it to someone else, and and then just doing that every day. And you won't notice it. You will not notice it, by the way, at all. But if everything else is the same, but you've dropped that number of calories every single day, it will add up. You just won't see it until like 3 months out or something, where you go, oh wow, like actually it's now noticeable. And you know, and that's an example of it in weight loss. And I'm a bad teacher for weight loss because I am a chubby middle-aged guy at the moment, but I'm working on it, right? So
my dad bod game is strong. That's what I like to say.
I like the dad that made it fashionable to have a dad bod and got that trending a couple of years.
God bless those guys.
God bless them.
Well, where do you start? Like when you find somebody like this, and you know you're starting to work with them, like where do you start?
See, that's a great question, and to be honest, I don't actually consult. I don't do anything which I would translate as exchanging time for money anymore, unless there is something else that's in addition to the money benefit. And so, one example might be learning, or a qualification, or a mentorship. Like I recently agreed to consult for a guy who I'd very much like to have as a mentor. So I figured, you know, working one-on-one with him, I can be asking questions and learning from him at the same time. So where I start is typically listening to the questions coming in, giving answers and value for free. If I'm seeing a trend, then I'll create a video on it, a chapter on it, a podcast on it, or something like that. So because if you know, a handful of people are asking me, there's probably hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of people out there, you know, with the same problem that can be answered. But you know, Smarter Destiny is about just putting value out there and seeing what comes. It's not a business that is you know, destined to break the bank or anything like that. It's, you know, it's just my outlet because I can't keep this helpful stuff inside my head.
You're probably like quite a bit like me. Like I had to learn to bite my tongue because like every business I walk into, I want to start fixing things as I'm there, like just to help them, not even because of any reason for me or make my experience better. Like I want to just walk in and be like, you know, if you just change this lighting, or if you know, had a little better process here with your paperwork, like things would go a lot faster and I could get my stuff done faster. You know, I want to do that, but you gotta hold it in sometimes. So
yeah, that unprecedented criticism or feedback. Sometimes people they're not a fan of that, are they? That you walk in sort of thing. You go, hey, you could do this better. And they're like, hey, don't, you know.
Yeah, so. you could leave. Well, so what are you launching on NooBru? Like, where does that tie into the ecosystem that you're building?
So NooBru is something that I'm tremendously excited about. So I've done big businesses in the past. I've done e-commerce businesses, I've done software businesses, and so on. And all of them, whilst the money was there, were lacking a little bit of the thing that makes me tick, if you like, the thing that I'm excited about. And the litmus test for me is, would I do this thing every day of my life, even if it was unpaid, right? Even if I got no money from it, is it something that excites me enough? And I say every day of my life, I've never done anything for that long. I'm saying, would I do it for 5 years? That's my life in my head, right? Which is another reason why I really struggled with the question of what do you want to be when you grow up when I was a kid? Because I'm like, well, I have no idea. There's a long time, right, to do one thing. Anyway, so after doing a bunch of businesses, building them, scaling them, exiting them, I realized I really enjoyed the challenge of the first bit, then got super bored unless it was around a subject I was interested in. One of my businesses, as a casing point, was a print-on-demand leggings store. I'd done a few case studies on that online and so on, and you know, it was tremendously exciting. We did $1 million revenue in our first 3 months. That was pretty cool. We broke a lot of things, a lot of our systems, and, you know, blew up and stuff. But eventually, when the sort of dust settled, I realized I really didn't care about leggings. I don't wear leggings, and I couldn't really wrap my head around the problem that I was solving. It obviously is a problem for some people, but I was like, this doesn't really help the world. And something that was a theme across a lot of the things I was doing, the help I was providing, the mission of Smarter Destiny, which I've got behind me, which is building an army of enlightened entrepreneurs. One of the recurring themes was, how can you have success at what you're doing, but at the same time create a net world positive result, which is a mouthful. But what I mean is, as a result of you doing your thing really well, does the world improve or does the world get worse? I'll give you an example of it getting worse. Marlboro cigarettes, who are probably going to sue me after this, but I would say that their success kind of really put a massive, horrible footprint on the earth, right? And there's lots of other examples out there as well of a person or a brand being very, very successful and it like really messing up the world. So I was like, right, how can I create a business which leaves the world net positive, the more successful I am, and is also in an area that I absolutely love. And so one of the areas that I absolutely love is the area of efficiency and optimization and getting more out for the same input, which led me to the world of nootropics. And nootropics, for those that don't know, and many people don't know, I've realized, is basically any kind of vitamin supplement input that directly improves the cognition of your brain, be it focus, endurance, creativity, recall, memory, anything that does that is in the sort of category of nootropics. And nootropics is a big category like beverages. Many would argue that coffee and cocaine are both in the category of nootropics, and whatever, right? Both of those are consumed a lot, by the way. So NooBru is the product. It's a nootropic that has it's a nootropic drink that has 11 different clinically proven nootropic ingredients in there, all mixed together in a delicious, so it's in powder form, it's delicious, it tastes like strawberry lemonade. You add it to your water, you drink it, it's amazing, and hits the spot, right? And so my passion for nootropics kind of led me there. And so I thought, well, that's great. I can see that to pretty much any human on earth, right, that has a brain, whatever it is they're putting themselves towards, like whatever it is they're trying to do and succeed at, if their brain works a little bit better, they're probably going to succeed at that a little bit better. Fantastic. Okay, so every customer that I'm touching here, they take the product, they're going to improve, right? Net well positive. But there's a bunch of people out there in the world who haven't got the baseline nutrition, right? They haven't got the money to buy my product, okay? What about them? I don't want to create a gap between the people that can afford my things and the people that can't afford the things, right? And so I went on a hunt for charities, went through it's a whole world of finding charities that their cause is actually good. The money actually goes to the cause. The cause is actually something that the world needs. It's not someone that's, new flip-flops for people who have broken their flip-flops. It's a real thing that actually helps the world. And we landed on a charity called Project Healthy Children. And I loved Project Healthy Children. I got in touch immediately with the owner, Felix, had a number of calls with him, some WhatsApps and stuff. And basically what they're doing is they're fighting the 2 billion person malnutrition problem by fortifying the food of these people, predominantly children. And what that means is that they're adding essential vitamins and iron into the flour that is the predominant ingredient in most of the food that they eat. And here in the West and the developed areas, it's just automatic. Your cornflakes is fortified with iron just by default. The flour you buy in the stores just by default. But the difference is, for these children, if they get something like diarrhea, they could die from it. Whereas if we get diarrhea, we take a pill and shake our head and go, oh, how annoying, right? And that's the difference. It's the same problem. And so now, with every single sale of NooBru, we will nourish and fortify the food of a child for a whole year. And so in a year, there's something like 900 meals or something like this. And so we're on a mission to fortify 100 million meals, which is a great thing. And now we can talk about in terms of meals provided as opposed to money. And so that really ticks a lot of boxes for me. And NooTropics is cool. And we're working with cricket clubs, like pro cricket clubs and stuff, which I love cricket and other sports and things. So all that's fun as well. So keeps me interested.
Man, what a mission, dude. That is something special. That's fantastic, Martyn. That's to tie those things together, where I understand completely what you're saying about, can you make money developing a website to sell leggings, right? And yeah, and you could probably make a bunch of money at it, but sometimes it's not really what it's about. It doesn't feel good to create. It doesn't feel good trails to leave. It's not a legacy type of product. And I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. It probably saves somebody money or some convenience that are here or there, but the impact is small. And I understand what you mean. And I'm not much of I'm probably not the best operator. I like to think that I am, but I like the creative much more. I like the challenge, like you're talking about, and so probably why I've been through quite a few businesses myself. But that I just really love how you've tied that together. Being able to provide the value to children that will go out and change the world. So the impact is exponential because you don't know
Yeah.
what that kid's going to do.
Sure, and you know, one of the pushbacks we might get from the very honest people is like, well, you know, a lot of these children are in Africa. Why do I care? And you know, and it's like, well, apart from just sort of basic, you know, every life matters and stuff like that, the answer that I give is, well, hey, what about this, right? Once this child has kind of got the annoyance of malnutrition out of the way, and their, you know, their basic nutrition's there, you know, Africa's coming online, they're getting the internet and so on, they have access to all the learning and all of the stuff available in the world. Maybe that child will put themselves to work and actually cure cancer in 10 years, right? Because they didn't die of diarrhea, right? And you know, it's a really sort of deliberately bold statement and story and whatever, because there's tons of other problems in the world that could be solved by a smart person that puts their mind to it. But you know, that just begins to make it more of a worldwide mission that benefits the whole world, as opposed to, you know, hey, you're giving money to Africa, we could use some, right? But actually, the malnutrition problem spans, it's way larger than Africa.
Yeah, no, and I mean anything like it's one life touched, you know, and I don't really think anybody could fault the mission behind it. You know, it comes from the right place, and on top of that, I mean, you're also helping the people that are buying your products as well. So if you can put some focus into, you know, brain style vitamins and into the leaders of people that were willing to pay for it, and you can pull a side benefit of also, well, let's go help a child, you know, that's amazing, man.
Yeah, it's that efficiency, you know, side of me going, right, okay, so how can this success be repurposed? You know, it's the same reason for you know, this podcast. You know, we're recording it with audio, recording it on video, because you potentially could now put it on YouTube and on, you know, iTunes or so on, and so it's that double result, that double benefit from the one input. And you know, and that goes back to the not exchanging time for money type of thing, using that time to build a system that makes you money, and that system will run even when you're not running it, because you're getting more than one output for your input.
No, that's amazing. So I want to kind of tie that back into what we're talking about with Money Talkers. And so it's really, you've started with an end goal in mind, and you identified that goal and then started to work backwards of how to get there. And that's an efficiency type, you know, mindset of, okay, like where do I want to go? Who do I want to serve? And then working backwards and saying, okay, what's the best way to get there? Instead of, a lot of times what we do is we just say, oh, you should do this, you should do that, and you'll get good results. But you start with the results and you come backwards, and it becomes a lot more, becomes a lot easier to systemize and kind of optimize what your results are going to be. So that's why I see with Money Talkers, that's why I want to be able to bring your messages and bring, you know, other successful people's messages so the parents can see, like, it just takes a little, you know, it takes a goal to sit down, for one, identify the goal you want to have with your kid, and then two, work backwards on how to get there and put a roadmap down. And I just think it's fantastic, man, with what you guys are doing with that business. That's really cool. And I appreciate you bringing that to us.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know when this episode goes out, but it'll most likely have launched by then. It launches January the 14th, 2020. But yeah, I think it's a great. I mean, you know, everyone loves plugging their stuff, right? But it's a great. It's actually what's gone into it and the why behind it. I think is important, and that can be used in the things that you're doing. But coming to that realization of you know, what is it that you would do for free? That takes work, that takes effort, right? It's not something you can just spend a distracted afternoon going, maybe I'll ride deer for a living. I don't know where that came from in my head. You know, like it's something which comes, and it also comes from failing, right? But you know, and you know, in my case, I learned that leggings, I don't care about leggings, and but taking that time, and this is what I would have done if I started a lot younger doing this, taking that time to actually to journal. If you don't know what journaling is, just there's tons of YouTube videos on there. Meditating on it. Don't know what meditations, tons of apps out there, right? This is me not wanting to teach beginners because all the information's out there. I don't want to be inefficient. It's all out there, but really sort of asking yourself that question, challenging yourself, making notes on it, just scribbling down what would I do for free, that I love so much I'd do for free. Just, there's no wrong answers, but you might find that thread that you can begin to pull at.
I've got to be honest with you. I'm very unfamiliar with nootropics, like the actual term. I mean, I get the concept. Is that something, what kind of age would you start doing that? Because if you can take, we give our kids, chewable vitamins, and they're 3 and 5 and 8 years old when they're running around, and we're giving them all vitamins to help them stay healthy as far as like, how do you deal with just general health? But if you're talking about brain health, what is there an age group to that, or is there like what's the science behind that? Like, is there a, you know what I mean?
Is this where I pull up my full disclaimer? I'm not a medical doctor.
Yes, I think this is the one. Yes.
So I mean, we do have a medical doctor on our board of advisors, and there are nootropics targeting children out there.
Yeah.
It really, and I think I've probably thrown everyone off with my coffee cocaine statement. All of the ingredients in our products are readily available over the counter from Amazon, all over the world, right? None of our ingredients are regulated in anywhere in the world, with the exception of potentially, no, actually in our product, there's nothing regulated over the world. I'm not going to get complicated. What I think the difference is some of them, and they've all got clinical trials, some of them may have more of a benefit for people over a certain age. Some of them may be readily available more in a lower dose. I'm a believer that things that we take as adults, that are good for us, there is a good chance, seek advice, but there is a good chance that they would also help younger people in a smaller dose, which is why I give my son Saxon half a Barocca, which is an effervescent tablet you drop in water. It's like a multivitamin. I give him half of one and I take a full one, right? So to answer your question, in the future, we are looking at developing a NooBru for parents to give to their children. And to answer your other question, we're sort of saying 18 and upwards. There's a lot of regulations below 18, even just with advertising and so on. But I'm not a doctor. Seek medical advice and so on. There's nothing in there that I wouldn't give to my own child.
So what kind of effects will that have, though? What is taking that type of vitamin do for you?
So it depends on what the ingredient is. For example, one nootropic is called lion's mane. It's from a mushroom, and for me at least, it helps me get into more of a creative space. You don't necessarily notice it. No nootropics really will you notice. It's not like a jittery caffeine drink that kind of makes you hyped up and what have you. When you're drinking or consuming nootropics, we've done it in a drink form because you absorb almost twice as much when drinking it compared to capsules, by the way. But when you consume nootropics, things just feel right, and you often and because they feel right, you don't notice it until the end of the day. Perhaps when you look back and go, wow, more things went my way than didn't, or my to-do list, I ticked off way more, or I had the motivation to get those annoying frogs, the annoying things on your to-do list that you always put off because you don't want to do them. You did them, and that's the kind of effect with nootropics. In sport, it might well be that you walk out into the arena of whatever your sport is, and you play your sport, and more shots went your way, right? More of the whatever your sport is, it just went your way than didn't. You had a good day. I notice a benefit, for example, when I'm playing squash, when I'm playing cricket. But it depends on what nootropic it is. There's some nootropics that are great for memory, some that are great for recall, some that are great for endurance, focus, repair. Some are short-term benefits, medium-term, long-term. So there's some that you wouldn't notice on a daily, but with that 1% thing that you look back over the last, maybe 3 months and go, wow, actually my memory's pretty good. I'm saying a lot less when I'm speaking. I seem more interesting to my friends. I'm recalling names, I'm recalling places, I'm recalling important information in my exams. And that's why we're we are positioning NooBru towards different types of people that we've identified may benefit from it. So whether it's various sports people, students, over 55s to fight mental decline, gamers, salespeople, entrepreneurs, of course, professionals, emergency response. All there's tons of different spaces out there, and you know, we're really trying to speak in the language of each individual space, because whilst everybody with a brain could probably benefit from their brain working better, the reason you might want your brain to work better is probably different to the reason I might want my brain to work better.
Yeah, that's a big marketing challenge, because like you said, it's almost too open. Like everybody should have their brains work better, but you know, how do you find your why behind to like be able to do that? And so that's an interesting concept, and a big challenge to tackle. But you sound like the type of guy that enjoys the challenge. So
I think so. One of my mentors, Josh Elizechi, who I've interviewed on my podcast, he's the founder of Snow Teeth Whitening, which is a $100 million a year company, and he's on the board of advisors for NooBru. He chose his current business based on it being a big enough of a challenge with enough moving pieces that it would keep him interested and stop him chasing other shiny objects. Like that's certainly a big part of his decision, and that I'm sort of following that thing. You said it's going to be huge, it's going to be an immense challenge. Great, I'll roll up my sleeves and, you know, not sleep over it. I think it's probably what will happen. So.
No, you got to have big, big, audacious, hairy goals, right? Like if you throw them out there, I mean, even if you come up a little short of maybe what you have put up there is like someone might think is crazy, your gains will be massive. And so that's a fun way to look at it, because you always got a challenge in front of you.
Absolutely.
You know. Well, man, listen, that was awesome. I'm so happy to learn about that stuff. I really look forward to your launch. You've probably got a future customer sitting here talking to you, so I want to see the launch and help you and support you. And so, again, if the Money Talkers audience wants to get out and they want to find out more about Martyn Cook and what you're doing and keep up with you, they want to learn about the 1% book. They want to follow you in Smarter Destiny on the podcast, and they want to learn about the NooTropics. Where do you suggest they find you?
So I'm all over. On the podcast, that's I'm interviewing very, very high level, successful digital business owners typically, and delving into their failings and trying to eke out things they've never told anyone before. It's a long form interview. That's a lot of fun to listen to. If you're looking more for sort of quotes and motivation, then Instagram. The book, you'll buy the book and you'll be on my email list where I share just what's going on at the moment, kind of things, and learnings very spontaneously. So the book is at 1% Secret. So it's number 1% spelt out secret.com. Throw in the www before that if you like, and that explains everything to do with the book. You can get it for free. I just ask you to kick in with shipping, which is about $6 or something. I don't make any money on that book, by the way. It's just about getting the mission out. I'm on all the socials. You can either find me with a search for Smarter Destiny or Martyn Cook, and Martyn is spelt the weird way with a Y, not an I, because my parents are different, apparently. So they
wanted you to have to explain that your entire life.
Yeah. They go Martyn with an I. I'm like, no.
That's a great dad joke.
Yeah. And Cook doesn't have an E either. Those are the two things normally. But hopefully you'll throw these in the show notes and they can give it a read. But yeah, reach out to me, and if you want to email me, martyn@smarterdestiny.com. I actually read and reply to every email.
Awesome, man. Hey, listen, I want to thank you just for bringing some amazing topics, and you know, we probably could have gone another couple of hours with all the stuff we had for notes. And I just want to thank you for being here. Guys, get out there, check out Martyn. You know, he's doing big things, but with the right mindset behind it and the right intentionality, I would say, behind it as well, which makes a big difference, because there's people that can make money and then there's people that want to make impact on the world, and Martyn's one of the latter. So thanks, man.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here. Thanks for having me.